Alright, yo, what up? This is your all shook up. Just gonna show you guys a little bit like an ESO PvP build video, but not really a build video. Essentially, how to create your own build. Now, obviously, I make a lot of builds. I've made builds out of off meta, meta. Most of my builds are borderline meta, but kind of give you an idea what the baseline stats should be after your buffs. Before your buffs, what your champion points should be, kind of like try to give you an idea of your front bar, your back bar. And let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think? What kind of baseline stats do you look for to elevate your builds? Because at the end of the day, if you have the baseline stats and then the skills on your bar, what skills you could work together to bring those stats up, what skills you can kind of combine to make it hit harder. So essentially, I want to try to help you create your own build. I love watching build videos. I love making builds, so you can get an idea of how to create your own. Now, it's easier just to watch someone and make their build, but now you can understand what they're looking for. So, let's say you want to use a backflip bow or something. You could still make that work. You just have to try to get those baseline stats. And like I said, solid discussion. I'm just trying to help somebody out, help people out, help the new players, especially all you veterans. Leave it in the comment section. What baseline stats do you use? What do you look for when you're creating a build? Because I know what I look for, and I know what works because I've played this game for so long. Like the other day, I told E-Man, if I can make a build, I'm not gonna die. Yeah, sure, I'm not gonna kill you, but I ain't gonna die. And I could also make a build where I'll one-shot you. Now, you don't see me playing one-shot builds, but your boy can. I could play any build. I could create anything. I'm a 1vxer at heart. My heart says 1vx. It's what I do. You know what I mean? So, but I want to help you guys. So, in a situation like this, when we look at the build, right, baseline stats, they're not going to be very high. If you ran out there in Cyrodiil fully buffed like this, you're probably going to get slapped around. But you're looking for the baseline. I always say if I have 20, 30, 30, right? 20 magicka, 30 health, because I'm a stamina. So vice versa the other way. But 30, 30, 20 or 20, 30, 30. 20 magicka, 30 health, 30 stamina. Now for recoveries, for more skilled players, you can go as low as like 700. I like to do 800. That's a sweet spot. 900 is beautiful. But if you're really struggling, I would try to stay above that 1,000. So when you're buffed, you're really getting carried by your recoveries. You will have, you have 5,000 recovery. You're not dying. It's that simple. Now, 5,000 is overkill because, there are caps to this game where at that point, it's just diminishing. You know what I mean? So essentially, if you look at the stat sheet, I got that 4,200 before any buff. I kind of like to stay over 4,000 on the front bar specifically. I like to be about 20,000 spell and 20,000 physical, just so when I'm buffed, I'm over that mark that I want to be at on the front bar. Remember, this is a front bar. And then 27 critical, which is a lot. I don't mind. At least I like close to 3K, 29 on the front, but 27's fine. Depending on the set you're wearing, I would definitely try not to dip below 2,000 or 22 because you'll just get smoked out here. And then weapon crit. Personally, if you have 12 as a baseline, it goes up to 24, 25. Basically 25%. You have what, 25, 25, 25. 25, that's a quarter. That's $1, so you get a quarter of that. It's fine. It would be nice to have 50%, but baseline stats not going to be the biggest. And it all depends on what food you're running too. That's another thing. If you're running smoked bear haunch, it could be lower. It all depends on your recoveries. Like, let's say your recoveries are like 400. You got to bring those recoveries. You smoke bear haunch, your magicka is going to come down and your stamina is going to come down. So depending on how you're building, the more weapon damage you have, the least stamina you have to have. So if you got like 10K weapon damage, your stamina also works off your weapon damage. So the more stamina you have, the harder you hit. The more weapon damage, the harder you hit. But the difference is the more weapon damage you have, the more you can heal. So I don't know if you guys understand that. So, and if we go to the back bar, 25, 22, 29, 20, 30, almost 30, 900, 900, 3,500, 21. So when I buff up, I'm gonna have a lot of crit, right? Penetration doesn't really matter on the back bar, but you can see what I'm talking about. Remember, the more weapon damage you have, the more you heal. So having good weapon damage on the back bar is also crucial. So now when we look up, and I'm just showing you guys this on a pure warden, you know, obviously when you stack other skills together, other skill lines, you get more. So like passives and everything are huge. Calm down. So you got 21, 33, 28, and 30 critical weapon, 5,500. You look at your physical. That's why I like to I want to try to get that physical resistance closer to 30, but that's fine. And as you can see, my critical resistance after buffing was like 4,000 plus, right? So you can see, and then my physical penetration was just absolutely insane. So when you look at your back bar now, 34, 31, you're pretty tanky. And remember, if you're running blood spawn, you're gonna go over that. So that's what I'm saying, like depending on the sets that you're wearing. When Bloodspawn procs, you get more. You got 46 weapon, you got 33 crit, you've got enough heals, enough damage. So these are like the stats that you're looking for. If you have these kind of stats on any of your characters, then essentially you should be fine. You know what I mean? And so I'm trying to help you guys build your own build video, not your own build video, but your own builds, kind of utilizing whatever you want, right? Now, here's the thing. And we kind of understand the baseline stats. Sets make a huge difference. Something like Oak Fathers, you're going to gain a lot of penetration. So when you're buffed up and someone else is buffed up, your penetration is going to get higher. Okay, so you look for sets like that. A good set that also makes you hit hard is also Plague Break because it puts a dot. It gives you more damage. Rally also hits hard because you get Battle Spirit, you get Weapon Crit, you get 300 more damage. Stuns, when they get set off balance, you get crazy amount of penetration. So these are things like that you kind of look for in sets. Is to kill people, you want a lot of stamina, a lot of weapon damage, and a lot of penetration. That's how you essentially drop someone quickly, right? And if you have a proc that hits hard enough, then like Reliquin, E-Man got it nerfed, then you could essentially kill someone fairly quick. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like you really want to be able to, you know, have that front bar really hit. So this is like Clever Now Alchemist, could be a back bar set, but when you drink look at the 675 weapon damage. That's absolutely insane. And because you add health to that, the fact that you're going to get more health, you'll be able to stack more into stamina. So now you're going to have crazy amount of stamina. You're going to hit this set just hits extremely hard, right? Something like Essence Thief, right? It also is going to be, you know, a hard hitting set. Like you're going to be able to, you get that 10%, you heal, you're short. This is a loaded set for all things. Survival, resource, damage. So this is why this is such a strong set, right? And you got other sets that I don't have, but like Mechanical Acuity is another one that's really good. You know, you get that stamina, that magicka, that weapon damage. And when you deal crit, you gain a stack of Mechanical Acuity, which just makes you hit even harder and everything. And then you got sets like this, where you deal light tag, you get a little additional flame damage, Pillar of Nirn, you get a little bit more bleed damage. So it all depends on how you're trying to build, but essentially that's kind of the front bar sets, right? And personally, back bar, you can use Rally, and something like a back bar that I really like to use because it really makes you very tanky is Wretched Vitality. You get a lot of recovery. Recoveries equal tankiness. The higher you can get your recovery, the more tanky you are, because you can just keep spamming heals, spamming vigor, spamming all this stuff to make you tankier and make you like just overall better. Like, you know what I mean? So, but Rally is a very strong option too. I mean, if it's actually better for your back bar, like I have, my next build is going to be crazy, but Rally is actually a really strong back bar because you get more critical resistance. You get a lot of damage, which also carries your heals, so you don't need to press your button as much. So depending, and you get damage for the front bar, and it carries over. So, you know, there's a lot to this game to try to understand, and I'm trying to break it down, you know, as best I can, just so you don't have to like overthink it. And this is why I understand why people watch build videos, because it's very difficult to understand. And something like Bloodspawn, like, because you got that. So we know we're getting on the back bar, we're getting 31k, right? And then we're getting 27. We're not getting 27. Do the math. 27, that's almost 4. 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, right? 31 plus the, you know, because like I said, it's already 27 something. So you're going to have 31 on the front bar. Plus the other one was like 34. So you're tanky. And then you end up 38, 34. So Bloodspawn makes you very tanky. Now, yes, there is a cap, but that cap, you know, it's good to be at the cap or a little bit above. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Sets like that. And then Balorgs. A set like Balorgs really makes you hit hard. So let's say you're lacking penetration. You're running Essence. Balorgs is always a good set because Essence is going to carry your survivability, and then you get weapon damage. And when you're able to use an ability, you're able to get more. When you use your ultimate, you get more spell and weapon damage, and you get penetration, right? And then sets like Raska. Let's say you're hurting in recovery. Use Raska. That's going to carry your survivability. That's going to carry you being able to do, you know, press your buttons more. Like, let's say you're like me and you keep messing up and pressing buttons. If you're not that skilled of a player, recovery is huge. That's why I love Wretched. Because it carries you. It's like, it's carrying like a newborn. So that's why I love Wretched, right? Because it's a very, very great set, right? And then you got, you know, this is a very good dual set. It gets a dot. You pick them up, you grab them, you toss them, you slam them. It's beautiful, right? And that's another thing. Pariah was a set that really E-Man really likes because it really helps him with the survivability. And then essentially he could just put everything into damage and stuff, right? So then you got like sets like Marskalok where it puts a strong dot, really strong. Even Zols, this is a good set when you're break free, you're on the run. You know, you got a lot of different sets you can use. One of my favorite tanking, like you're a beast, Nibane. This thing is super strong. When you get pulled, you put a shield, you absorb damage, and you get critical resistance. So like at this point, you're just tanky as shit, right? Stormfist is okay, not really, you know, it all depends on how you're trying to build. So sets are huge because if you don't have the sets, it's hard to stack skills. Like for instance, trying to kill someone with Wrecking Blow, my Wrecking Blow tooltip is going to need to be real high, right? So if I'm able to get this higher, you know, and I can get that to proc, then my Dizzy 12-4. So that's going to go up to about 15, 16K, right? And so you want to land your beetles with your Wrecking Blow while they're charmed into a Dawnbreaker. And that's how you're going to kill someone with a Pure Warden on this specific build. Now, there's other ways to play. You can use Blood for Blood, but I'm just giving you an example of, you know, how to stack the skills. You want to somehow land this with that and this. And those are the baseline stats. But you could do that in anything. You use Blood for Blood. You can use anything. And when you're building, you always want to look at the passives, like what passives can stack with each other. You know, like this one gives you more recovery. This one gives you more ult. This one gives you more health. You know, gives you a 5% bonus, you know. And then some sets work better with this skill, this passive. So let's say there's a passive like that new passive, dude. I'm pretty sure Winter's Embrace is going to be very strong because that new passive and stuff, you could really punish somebody. And depending on like for instance, your back bar, right? It will tell you if you have something increase your physical, you get a bonus. When you deal direct damage from an enemy melee, apply stack bite. I mean, there's a lot of you know, ways to really elevate, you know, your skills. That's why subclassing was so strong, because when you start stacking different skill lines together, you essentially can create a super OP mega build. Like, you get what I'm saying? Now with the new updates, they are going to have a little bit new stuff. So, but I'm not gonna, because it changes, the updates change, so I don't want to put that out. But I'm hoping I get everything in this, you know. And champion points, that's another thing. So if you look at champion points, if you're lacking something like damage, put it in damage. This area damage, this helps with the beetles hit harder. This helps reduce damage. So if you're dying, maybe don't run beetles, run you know, run biting order, run unsustainable, so you're a little bit tankier. This gives you more weapon damage. This one can help you heal on the back bar. Definitely want to run resilience. Some of these are like, this one's super important to run because the way crit damage hits hard, and Master's Arms, I would say those are huge. That's what she said. And then you know, for this, if you feel slow, run speed. If you're lacking, you know, like this 25% reduction is huge while affected with a status effect. So while you're getting hit and you're trying to 1vx, you're always affected. You got 25% decrease on your skills. Relentlessness. If you're being stunned, field, or anything, you gain major protection, 10% less damage. So you could just be tanky as shit, right? You don't, let's say like that 1731 armor, you don't need that. You're going to run this. Now you're tanky as shit. See what I'm saying? So you got to read this. Reduces your damage taken by 2% for every 2 negative effects active on you. So you always have negative effects. That's 20%. That's crazy, right? Sustained by suffering. More recoveries. So essentially, while you're in, you know, while you're under effect, you're getting more recoveries. And then this is just flat. So, and then this one right here, you also take least damage, more than 4%. It's just I don't have it on. So Juggernaut is another one that's super strong. So I hope I'm trying to explain this as best I can. Flat stats make you extremely strong, extremely tanky, kind of give you guys an idea on builds. You know what I mean? If you guys have any questions, if I'm trying to explain the best I can. I hope in the comment section you guys try to help these guys out, kind of understand the builds, understand how to build, and yeah, hopefully you guys end up you know, going out there dominating, you know, making your own builds, making unique builds. I will have a build video of my next build, and I'm telling you, that thing hits extremely hard, dude. Extremely. I give you a sneak peek. It's Oak Fathers with the little rally the oak. That thing is crazy, but the way you set it up with the skill lines is what I try to, you know, do. So like I said, these are just the baseline stats. I'm just showing you guys on a pure warden just so you can get an idea. So once again, I definitely appreciate you guys' support, and take it easy. Out.